What business or store that was killed by the internet do you miss the most? I honestly miss video stores. It was fun to wander around them and you might end up renting something you never heard of on a whim. Electronic stores where you get stuff for projects. I wish I could have gone there. Flea markets. Yes, I know they still exist. The problem is that thanks to the proliferation of the internet, it's pretty difficult to find a good deal on much of anything, especially games. People check the prices on eBay and other places and just price around that. You could go to a dozen flea markets or pop-up shops and the same game will be around the same price at every single one of them. KB Toys and Toys R Us. I grew up with weekend trips to KB. And to this day as a man I still love toys. It's something I passed on to my own son, and though he's too young to have known KB, I love taking him to True even if just to look around. It was one of our things, our father and son activity. And now there's nothing that even compares. I miss the former quality of Land's End merchandise. Land's End has really gone downhill since having to compete online, to the point where most of their merchandise is unrecognizable from its former quality and durability. Sales pros in general. A guy selling you a fridge who has sold fridges for 10 years and knows all about them. Now I look for stars and try to discern real vs paid vs bot reviews. I miss really good hobby shops. I build plastic models, usually World War II aircraft. Those high-end hobby shops have all the closed down now. All you can generally find are RC shops that have a shelf of a couple plastic models here and there. The only exception in the greater Portland area is Tammy's Hobbies, but I'm pretty sure their days are numbered for plastic models as well. I miss magazine stores / newsstands. Part of my routine for years on Fridays was a walk into the neighborhood newsstand on the way to work. I'd spend 15 minutes perusing the new stuff. I'd usually spend $20 to $30 on 5 to 6 magazines. Video game stuff, 40 and Times Games magazine, always that day's SF Chronicle, whatever. Most of those places are long gone. I suppose I spend less money on that stuff, but I miss it. Arcades for sure. My dad used to drop me off at a nickel arcade with $5. I felt like a king. Chain record stores like Record Bar or Tower Records. Wolf Camera, where I spent many happy hours indulging my photo hobby in the 1990s. Hastings. Hastings was probably similar to a Blockbuster, but Hastings had movies and TV shows to rent, books, music, other stuff that I can't remember that you could buy. It was just so good, but now there is a TJ Maxx in its place. It will truly be missed in my heart. Edit. I just wanted to say that when Hastings went out, I had my parents buy me too many coloring books. They were $1 a book in my defensive, but I'm still sad that I didn't get all the Grey's Anatomy seasons or the Halloween Town movies. Edit 2. I'm kinda new to Reddit, but what does a gold medal mean? Also thank you to whoever gave it to me. The old Blockbuster in my town had a game console that somehow always had new and interesting games to show. Most of the shops in my small country town close because everyone orders everything off of Amazon, and now there's many abandoned buildings. Used bookstores. There's now only one in a 5-city radius that is only open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I use Thrift Books now. It's cheap and they have a lot of different books, but it's not the same as browsing through stacks looking for treasures. Edit. I've been informed that for the most part used bookstores are booming. I guess the suburbs outside Detroit are just cesspools. Sounds about right. I really miss Radio Shack. I used to always go in there with friends and look at all the remote control helicopters and the crazy TiVo devices and everything that I thought was so awesome. It's so weird how those things were so revolutionary and now it's just like, oh yeah, you can get that at Walmart for $5. Edit. The consensus is everyone hates Best Buy. Borders. 12-year-old me misses Toys R Us. My son will more than likely never experience the joy of being let loose in a giant toy store. Radio Shack. I miss looking through the endless drawers of capacitors, transformers, ECT, and trying to think up dumb projects and things to make. There are still some Radio Shacks around, but they're not the same. They're just gutted phone stores. Funcoland. Pre-GameStop era game chain that really revolutionized the used gaming market. I miss going in and picking up their monthly printed price list, http://i.imager.com/mattgplee.jpg. You could try anything before you bought it, test it to make sure it worked, etc. If you're lucky, your town has an indie game store that somewhat replicates this experience, but GameStop ruined a great thing. I miss Walden Books / Borders and B. Dalton. I go to the mall a great deal less than I used to because bookstores were a primary attraction for me. Borders because they sent me 40% off coupons. The Sears catalog. I used to love going through that as a kid around Christmas and seeing what I wanted to ask Santa for. What's stupid is Sears could have been bigger than Amazon since they already had a head start on the order from home business, but they just didn't embrace the internet, and now Sears is dying. All the small bookstores have disappeared in my city. Even the second-hand bookstores, which were my favorites. Oxford bookstores are surviving somehow, and everything else is a textbook store. I understand ordering online is way more convenient, I do it as well, but I do miss the feel of being surrounded by books and thumbing through the pages and looking for one that might catch my eye. Magazines in general seem to be part of a bygone era. If you had a specialist interest or hobby, a magazine subscription was the best way to keep in the loop and have a monthly dose of excitement. Now internet communities are much more plentiful and specified, but there's no longer the depth of information as when it was compiled by experts and promoted with beautiful pictures and layouts.